everybody, welcome. I'm Reese McCormick. Today's show is about voiceover, how to get started, what to expect once you're in the industry. I have two voiceover celebrities with me today, Mr. Josh Martin and Ms. Monet Tatiana Lerner.
Hi guys.
But what's really interesting about these people is another thing that connects them is that they have such wildly disparate resumes. Most actors find themselves in unusual situations. That's not, but I mean, these two, well, I'm going to let them tell you. But before we get to that, I want to find out how they ended up in Texas because neither one of them are from here. So, Monet, you grew up as a child actor in LA, and Josh, you grew up as a child, maybe actor, maybe not. We'll find out in the other LA, Louisiana. So who wants to go first and tell us your story about coming to Texas?
After you.
Okay. Yes, so I am from Los Angeles, born and raised, and I started acting in church plays, honestly, when I was 5 years old. I got an agent when I was in my preteens.
You begged your mother?
I did. I had so many other friends that were in the industry because, you know, LA, there were a lot of child actors that were pursuing their passion, and I was still going to school at the time, but I knew in my heart I had this burning desire, like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I don't want to do anything else. So I begged my mom, got an agent, and I got some bites when I was younger. I was on the first show that I booked was the Bernie Mac show. I was a guest star on that show, and then I booked The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and I'm also a musician, so I got to sing one of my songs on the show.
Oh my gosh.
So that was really fun. And then, so I was, working a little bit here, a little bit there, had really amazing opportunities to study with all sorts of great acting coaches and voiceover artists. And then when I was 18 years old, my dad passed away. And so I decided to make a change in my life and move to South Padre Island, Texas, of all places.
What's up with that? Why South Padre?
Well, because, I actually got a job being a lounge singer down there at the Isla Grande. So
How did South Padre get a Los Angeles lounge singer?
Well, you know what? I actually went to the island first for some R&R. And then along the way, I had a couple of other friends that were out there getting some R&R. And along the way, I met the manager of the Isla Grande, and my friends were like, come on, Monet, you have to go. You have to bring your guitar and you have to play him some songs. And you have to, they do these lounge singers. And I was like, oh, no way, there's no way. And then I went, I sang, I remember it was a Taylor Swift song, Teardrops on My Guitar. And I got the job. Being a lounge singer. And then
so
the rest is history.
From there to Dallas? How did that happen?
Dallas. A couple of my friends from South Padre were moving to Dallas, and I just hopped on the train and said, okay, let the wind take me.
Wow.
And I moved to Dallas, yeah. And then from there, got into theater here, and then ran into somebody that told me about KD because I wanted to go back to school. I just wanted to continue to practice because I took a long hiatus from acting for a long time. So I wanted to get back into practice. And then I came to KD.
Well, you sure have done it. You've done that in spades.
Thank
All
you.
right, great. So that was Kismet. Josh, what about you?
Wow. In 1994, I had graduated high school about 9 months earlier. I went to LSU-S in Shreveport. I played soccer, and I was tired of going to school by the time soccer season was done. I just felt like, because I didn't move away from town, I knew everybody in school. It just felt like, it felt like the 13th grade, right? And I was also paying for my own college, working, and I thought, you know what? If I'm gonna pay for it, I'm gonna pay for something I want to do. And so I decided I wasn't gonna go to school. I was gonna either move to New York or Los Angeles and be a bum and try to be an actor. And so I had a conversation with my dad about that. I said, Dad, I'm not gonna go back to college next semester. He said, no, really? What are you gonna do? And I said, I think I'm gonna move to New York or Los Angeles and be a bum and try to be an actor. And I was just waiting for the chastising, right? And he goes, well, do you want some help? And I went, oh God, yes, please. And luckily he had worked in advertising. And so through his work, they had used Kim Dawson agency, talent agency, for some of their commercials. And he called the agency and he said, hey, you know, my son wants to get into acting. I wonder if I might get him some representation. And when they stopped laughing, because I had no work, right? Zero. They suggested KD Studio. And so I mean, I think it was the next week I was at the school interviewing.
Wow.
And,
So you came to the conservatory through the agency. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they referred me. You know, otherwise I would have gone out. I would have been that proverbial off the bus and.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Right. And so you didn't have any acting experience. You grew up as an athlete. But what was it that you all of a sudden, I mean, you're a closet actor?
Well, you know, I got the bug when I was in second grade, to be honest. I just lived in Halton, Louisiana, so I didn't know that there was an avenue to anything else but acting in school plays.
Yeah.
Between that and Tom Hanks or De Niro, you know, I didn't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't on my scale. But in second grade, I just moved to Houghton from Baton Rouge, where I was born, and they were having the Charlie Brown play. You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and I went to auditions, and I auditioned for Peppermint Patty. I didn't know.
That was very forward. Yeah.
I had no idea. I didn't have any concept that there were other parts that maybe I should read for. So they suggested Linus, and I sang Popeye the Sailor Man, and I got cast as Linus.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And the thing that got me hooked on it was there's a line in there that Linus says, "Come on, Charlie Brown, you can do it. Boy, am I a hypocrite." Right? And I didn't know what hypocrite meant in second grade. Teacher explained it to me. I still didn't get it. And she just gave me a line reading. Come on, Charlie Brown, you can do it. And then I want you to jump, put your hand on your face and say, boy, am I a hypocrite. So, okay. Comes show night. Boom. Boy, am I a hypocrite. And the audience went, and I went, oh, I need more of this. And so I was just, you know, I was a ham from that point on. I was an MTV generation, cartoons, I was a mimic from everything from Scooby-Doo to Church Lady to Pee Wee Herman to Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was destined to do it. And luckily I came to KD Studio and they nurtured me.
Yeah,
So-
and right after you graduated,
Thank you.
you got a. Yeah. He's never worked with a mic before.
No, what is this?
So let's talk about what happened after school. I mean, I know you went right to work on Barney, and what did you do after graduation? Did you go back to Los Angeles?
So after graduation, no, I actually stayed here and during school, I was actually working. I got a few gigs off of Backstage.com. I actually got to go be a magician's assistant for an illusionist act at the Detroit Auto Show. Like that was awesome. I got to reveal an Audi. It was just, look it up on YouTube sometimes, really cool. But then I got into local theater here. I did a show with Theater 3 before I went to KD, and then I became a company member at the Ochre House Theater.
And they're still going.
Yes.
They survived COVID.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matt Posey.
Yeah, Matt Posey, I love you. But yeah, I've been working there regularly since 2017. But
Nice. And doing Medieval Times.
yes,
Let's talk about that for a minute. You made some history in Medieval Times, girl.
that is true. Yes.
Talk about it.
Well, actually, KD and Medieval Times for me are, KD posted about the job offering at Medieval Times, and that's how it was on the cork board back there. And it was, they're hiring a princess, and I worked tons of gigs after KD. I was a server, I was a bartender, I did princess parties, just to make ends meet, pay the rent, right?
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. But then I went in and auditioned for Medieval Times. I had never been to Medieval Times before. I grew up in LA. There's one in LA. I never went there. This was my first time walking into a castle like that, and I was like, "Wow, it smells like horses." That was my first thought. But I've gotten it's a very I love horse smell. I love horse smell. Anyway. But after that, so that was in 2016, we installed a new show in 2017 that I was the inaugural queen for. So out of all 10 castles, I was the first person to ever play this role in the production of, it's called Sovereign. And we've been running that show since 2017. October of 2017 is when we put the first show in. And it's
with you as the solo female ruler.
Yes, that's
wow.
correct. And
we still have that same cork board, has got a picture of you. It came out in some magazine. I can't remember what it was, but there's a picture of you on your throne looking so smug. I was just like, I got this. Yeah.
It's probably the D magazine.
It might have been.
One.
Yeah.
That was a great photo. And we had these little pauldrons that we actually never used in the show. But if you see that photo, there's these little like shoulder pieces that I thought were so cool.
Yeah.
That were never used. But that was really fun. And then the next year in 2018, Vogue magazine actually picked up a spread of the Dallas Queens and the New Jersey Queens. So that was a really great opportunity.
So is any of this coinciding with another blonde female queen who was making headlines at the time? Do you know what I'm talking about? Game of Thrones?
Is it?
Khaleesi? Do you think there's an influence there?
I definitely think it was a huge coincidence, though, because Khaleesi is beautiful and just completely all powerful and just this amazing monarch. But our queen, it was funny because I talked to the scriptwriter about this, the playwright, and he said that it was just seriously a coincidence, just merely coincidence. So I guess
you say so.
You'll have to come see the show and see if they mimic each other at all. But
okay, so you're an equestrian now, and as an
Yes.
offshoot of that gig, have you become a falconer?
I have.
So
yes.
yeah, I
Yes.
know, I know. It just gets more and more interesting. All right, and so Josh, your Barney experience took you around the world.
Yes.
Talk
it
about
did.
that. How did you get to be the body of Barney in Tokyo? I mean,
Sherry Taylor from KD Studio.
and Sherry's with us to this day. Yeah.
Right after graduation, she paged me and told me to come to school, that she had to talk to me. Pager.
Pager,
pager, right?
Where you had to get off the highway and find a phone to answer the,
Oh, I was on Rager's couch.
Oh, okay.
I was on Rager's couch.
We'll talk about Chris Rager in a minute.
Yeah, I had to ride the bike to 7-Eleven, use the payphone to call Sherry to have her tell me that I needed to come to school. Had to ride the bike back to the apartment, ask Chris if I could borrow his car, go to the school. I did, and she said, "There's an audition I think you need to do." And I said, "Oh, sweet." I didn't have an agent yet or anything. And I said, "What is it?" She goes, "It's for Barney the Purple Dinosaur." And I went, "Mm-mm." She goes, "What do you mean, mm-mm?" I was like, "Have you seen our comedy show?" Because me and Chris Rager and other friends, we had started a comedy troupe. And we were rude and blue and crass, and we are definitely canceled the moment we come out today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just thought, not only do I not think that I'm interested in doing this job, I can't see why they would ever hire me, right? And she gave me that mom side eye, and she went, "I think you need to do this." I was like, okay. Because on top of it, she had taken care of me the last 2 years. Yes, that 15-month program took me 2 years. Anyway.
Some people.
Yeah, I was new at taking care of myself and accepting responsibility. I didn't do it so well all the time. Anyway, so I thought, if she's telling me to do it, I'll do it. After all, this is why I went to school, right? You audition. These are the things. You can't have all the jobs you want. So I was like, boom, I'll go do it, be done with it, on to the next one. I'll be on the next, be on SNL, be the next Dana Carvey, whatever. And right before I went in the audition, I thought of Jim Henson's Phenomena. That song.
Phenomena. Da, 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 da.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I got this huge smile on my face because I love that song.
Yeah.
And I love the Muppets. And the audition was just to jump around, act like there was an audience, and act like you were in the costume, but we weren't. And it was just to the theme song. And so I did. Went home. On my way home, Sherry paged me. I didn't get home. And that was just from Las Colinas.
Paid you to say what?
To say they wanted to see me back
Call back.
already. I was like, what? She's like, yeah.
This time, did you get to wear the suit?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, what was that
But before
like?
that, she told me what it was for, and I was like, what? This is a world tour? Like, this is like a cool gig?
Yeah.
Okay. So I went in, I did the same, it was the same audition, but now in the suit.
And now you want it.
Well, I got out and I was, and the director and the producer were like, all right, how are you okay? And I was wheezing. They were like, okay. And that was on Wednesday, and on Friday, they called me and said, they want to see you back. But they said, you got to lose 10 pounds and get in shape. Like, that's what they told me.
Wow.
Right? I don't know how that works these days, but anyway. And I was good with that because I did put on the freshman 10 as far as that goes. And I rode my bike from Inwood to KD for a whole week, every day. And I met with Colleen what's it?
Oh, the director of education at the time.
Yes.
Colleen. Yeah, I remember
sorry,
Colleen.
Sorry, I don't remember the last name. And she put me through an aerobics workout, and she taught me the choreography that they sent me, because it was just the beginning of the Radio City Music show that they had recently done, and I was supposed to recreate that. Well, as far as I could tell, he was just jumping around, spinning, and being crazy. She's like, "Oh no, that's a grapevine and a bell kick and a chasse," and I was okay. And so I learned that, and I went back for the last callback, and I did the whole thing, and I got out, and I didn't breathe heavy, and I was cool. And they were like, "Well, how are you feeling?" I said, "I feel good." They're like, "Okay, well, you look good. We appreciate it. Well, thank you very much." And I said, "And remember, I love you." And they smiled, and I walked out.
Yeah. You never did the voice, though. You were always just the body.
I never got paid to do the voice.
So you guys are both used to playing giant arenas full of people. So now let's talk about the isolation that can happen in the little tiny voiceover booth. Do you guys work alone now, or do you work in a booth with other people? You're both going to Crunchyroll to work. You're not working from a home booth, right? Okay,
Back at the studio.
So, all right. So, Josh, do you want to go first? I mean, I think you've been doing this longer.
Yes.
How in the world did Dragon Ball Z come into your life?
Oh, wow. Well, that goes back to the comedy troops, KD. I'd been doing a character in the comedy troupe called the Pillsbury Homeboy. Since 1995, really. And so, yeah, it was a gangster rapping Pillsbury doughboy. He gets jumped on his way home from school by the Keebler elves. That triggers him into getting into gangster rap and smoking marijuana and cooking with marijuana. Obviously, there's an obvious tie-in there.
Yeah, because Pillsbury and Keebler.
Right. So Mike McFarland was also in the comedy troupe with us, and he plays Master Roshi. He's a director of everything at Crunchyroll. And he found out, he was a fan of anime already, and he found out that Dragon Ball Z was being dubbed over in North Richland Hills. at the Frost Bank building on the 3rd floor, just in like 2 offices.
Wow.
Smaller than this stage,
Wow.
right? The office was. And he came to rehearsal one night, to show one night, and he was like, dude, I just booked this job, this voiceover job doing cartoons. We still call them cartoons then, right?
Yeah.
And Chris Rager was like, you got a part? And Mike was like, yeah. And he goes, well, if you got a part, I can get a part. That's just his boisterousness. And to his credit, he went and got a part. And so those two invited Chris Sabat to our show. Chris Sabat, voice of Vegeta and every other character on Dragon Ball Z, All Might from My Hero Academia these days, and directs, just crazy. He came to our show, he saw me do the Pillsbury Homeboy, and he was like, I think I found the voice of Majin Buu. He came to me after the show and he said, what are you doing tomorrow? I don't know, what? I need you to come to the studio. So I did. I went 3 times before I was convinced that it was that was my part. Because they gave me the 411 with this backstory, and then all I did was, I didn't say one word. Not one word, and I thought, there's no way they're paying me for this, right? They're gonna keep calling, really? And sure enough, 23 years later.
Dang.
Still doing it.
23
That's
years later.
incredible.
This seems like a really perfect time to talk about networking. You know, that keeps coming up no matter who comes on this podcast, is how important it is to, not burn any bridges and to treat everybody you meet like they are tomorrow's producer, because they probably are. Literally. Craft services person, I saw her next time as a casting. Okay, so not only you're staying connected with your guys and being in good stead with the guys in the comedy troupe, but you and Rager were best friends. You and Chris Rager were best friends in school at KD, and
Yeah.
now you're best friends on this show for 23 years.
Right? Yeah. And he booked his part first and did it for an entire year before I booked my part. And we continued to do our parts separately for, I don't know, you'd have to go back and look at the log specifically, but for months.
Yeah.
And then one day, Rager comes to the show one night and he goes, dude, your character and my character are like roommates now. They like move in together. I make you breakfast. I give you a bath. I'm like, whoa, what? He's like, yeah. Sure enough, the next day I went in, did my part, and he'd already put all his parts down, right? And so I'm reacting to, yum.
That's amazing.
Crazy, yeah.
That is so fun.
Wow.
So, all right, networking is important, and not burning bridges. And back in those days, it was Funimation.
Yes.
Now it's Crunchyroll, but
Correct.
it was Funimation. I'm not even sure when the changeover happened. And
Just
you came
recently.
on board when?
I came on board with Crunchyroll April of 2022.
So very
I'm a baby.
recently.
I'm a little baby.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
And how did you
Yeah.
get the gig?
So, I have actually I was friends with Leah Clark for a really long time because we did a show at Theater 3 together. And so we moved it in together. And then that's how I met Mike McFarland, and me and Mike were friends for a really long time. So that's really fun
Does
to hear.
Leah work with Mike?
Leah does work with Mike, yeah. So Leah's a Crunchyroll person. And then, but I didn't book anything through them. It was just years later. I've been with KD since 2015, Kim Dawson Agency, and Julie Holman and I worked together. So I auditioned for a couple of, other studios jobs. I've auditioned for a couple of other shows like Okratron and stuff like that. And then one day, Jade Saxton was like, hey, give me your email. I want you to audition for a show for me. And because I knew Jade through Leah, so connections.
So this wasn't where your agent called you and said, come in for an audition.
No, it
This
was
wasn't
not.
the standard channels. Again, who you know.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you recorded something like on your phone or what?
No, I've spent a lot of money investing in voiceover equipment
So
because
you have it in your house.
since the pandemic, I'm sure Josh can talk about this, but like back in the day, it was like, yeah, you can record an audition on your phone and submit it, and it's fine. But
But how do you get work
completely
now?
changed.
I mean,
You have to invest. You have to. I went through a coach, Bob Michaels. He's incredible. I went and I talked with him over Zoom for weekly sessions. We'd have weekly sessions. He'd tell me what equipment to buy, and then what mic sounds best for my vocal quality, and he taught me how to process my audio. Because all of that you have to know now in order to book jobs.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Really good to know. That sounds almost kind of daunting. It's not a matter of sending your demo reel to Crunchyroll and saying I'm available. I mean, how do you?
that's
I mean,
why-
I know that there are people who do the voiceover short course at KD at night who have gotten because our teacher actually works at Crunchyroll, and so they've gotten an inroads that way. Maybe taking a class would be a good way to
yes.
get started. Talk to the pros who are teaching. Do you guys want to? Can we show a little clip of some of your work? Can we see a
we
little?
have to
Can
see
we see it,
Josh's
Josh?
first.
Let's
We
see
have to
what you got.
Josh's first.
All right.
So this is going to be Majin Buu.
Fat Boo fighting with Evil Boo. I'm fighting with myself.
Okay.
It's a theme.
Stop it! Who are you?
Tell me who you are first.
Boo!
You fool, I'm Majin Buu.
Oh my god.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you're in the booth by yourself doing all this,
I am.
all these
Yes.
noises.
Yeah.
Nice
I do
job.
I do the fat one first, and then the gray one next.
Okay, cool. Let's see Monet. Let's see something from Monet's.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. This is from a
Cavalcade.
show called Blue Lock.
Yeah.
It's a
Because then you can
Squid
do
Games
amazing
meets
stuff.
soccer.
There's nothing
So it's
in
really
the whole
interesting.
world more fun than
You're the
soccer.
kid in yellow.
I'm the kid in yellow, Meguru Bachara.
You're real scary.
He
too.
is
With
one
a
of
girl's
the
haircut. Let's go.
contestants
We don't
in
need
this
this weirdo.
soccer Squid Game
You take
situation.
that back
And so I
right
play the
now.
younger version of him.
Everyone thinks so.
I am not a weirdo!
Such mean kids. That's so
You're
fun.
not
Yeah.
a weirdo,
Good.
sweetie.
That's right, I'm not. Those dum-dums are
But he's
running
really
out
fun. He
everything.
has a monster inside of
I
him.
wouldn't say
So
that
he
exactly.
discovers that, yeah, he had no friends growing up, as you can see here. And then he discovers that he has this monster inside him that helps him play soccer. And so it was really neat because, yeah.
When I first saw the clip, I thought you were the mom. You're the voice of
Okay.
the little kid.
I'm the voice of the little kid, yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you have? What kind of advice do you have for somebody who wants to get started? Take a class.
Take classes.
Start saving
because-
money to invest in your own equipment. Get a coach.
But take classes. I mean, number one, take classes. Number one, because then you can see if you really enjoy doing it, and you can practice and start to hone your skills because it's all about practicing. I mean, I don't know about you, Josh, but like I'm constantly going,
Yeah.
constantly talking,
No doubt.
practicing my registers and all of that stuff. But workshops, so important to meet people and
That's it.
And you guys
involved,
are,
yeah.
and you guys have side gigs. I mean, actors have to keep a lot of balls in the air to until you become Tom Cruise, and then you can. Of course, most people who are creative have a lot of other interests as well. In fact, this book right here is my latest entrepreneurial effort. Remy Gets a New Home. It's available on Amazon. So, you're doing falconry, you're doing horses, you're doing music. You guys have got a lot of stuff going, and I'm just so proud of you that you've become, you've broken through in the world of voiceover. And if anybody wants to reach you, how can they do that? Do you have websites, or do you have?
You can find me on the socials.
Yeah.
All right,
Josh Martin,
on Instagram or
Original Boo on Instagram. Josh Martin Voice on Twitter.
okay.
But Josh Martin's connected to pretty much all of it. You can
There you
find
go.
me.
You might get some new followers out of this. And
Let's
what
do
about
it.
you,
And
Monet?
so my Instagram is @MonetLearner, and then my Twitter is @Monet_learner.
All
Okay.
right. Well, thank you so much for being
Thank
on the
you.
show today, guys. I really appreciate you. I'm so proud of you, and congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you.
Yeah,
High five.
congrats. Yeah, there you go.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time.